All
I think
right,
we're wrong. I think this is where you wanted to start, Liz. 11:20.
rolling. Okay,
Rolling? Okay.
yes. Welcome everyone to DOOR3 TV, episode unknown, episode number unknown, a special Ukraine episode. And today we have our usual correspondents, Jonathan Blessing, CEO of DOOR3, Alex Asianov, president of DOOR3, and special guests, Tetiana Babiy, who's our head of Global People Strategy, and Dmytro Kusch, who's our engineering practice lead. Tanya has been on DOOR3 TV before. I just looked it up. It's episode 13, the last time that Jonathan and Alex were in Kyiv, which was about 6 months ago, maybe.
Yeah,
And
it was November of last year.
Yeah, but Dima is new to DOOR3 TV. He's a up and coming DOOR3 TV star. Yeah,
Totally don't know what to expect.
Premiere. It's his premiere appearance.
I'm a little thrown off by the fact you referred to me as a correspondent, but we can come back to that in a different episode.
Okay. So as everyone has heard, Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. It's now been, I think this is day 50. What people may not know is that Ukraine is the largest European exporter of IT services. And this is a big problem right now across our entire industry of software and technology makers and producers. DOOR3 has a significant base in Ukraine. Our founder, Alex, is Ukrainian American. Our head of principal consulting is married to a Ukrainian American, and many of our developers, project managers, and key colleagues are Ukrainian and living in Ukraine. We've had an office in Ukraine since 2014, which Tanya started with Alex. And so today we've brought together some of our Ukrainian colleagues, our key colleagues at DOOR3, to talk about how we're managing this situation and what we did leading up to the war to try to mitigate the threat to our colleagues' safety and livelihood, and to our ongoing projects, client projects. And these plans were, of course, made before we knew what was really going to happen, or before anybody knew what was going to happen, and we were making our best guesses.
So we began thinking about ways to mitigate the risk of another Russian incursion back in 2019, September, October. We put things into place starting in November. There were 3 parts to our planning. So the first part was an incentive to encourage our employees, our colleagues, to move themselves and their families west. So either out of Ukraine or to the western side of Ukraine, up against the warm NATO embrace of Poland. The second part of our thinking, of our contingency planning, was to open up an office, a base of operations in Lviv, which is the city in the furthest western part of Ukraine. If you've been watching the news, it's where all the journalists are. The third part, the third component of our contingency planning had been the opening of an office in Poland. And so we established a base of operation in Krakow immediately after the war opened. So we had all the planning was in place to do that. In terms of it's interesting because initially, and I think Alex, you'll remember this, and Tanya for sure, you'll remember this, but it took some arm twisting to kind of shake people out of their disbelief that this could happen. So it wasn't just people in the West who didn't think that this would happen. It was also people in Ukraine who, after many years of being in kind of a low-level simmering conflict with Russia, weren't ready to accept that things were about to get hot again. But we succeeded. And so right now, a lot of our folks who were in Ukraine before the war started are now outside. And those who are still in Ukraine are largely in the West. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to this, Tanya.
Yeah, I fully support you. And I remember that we were opening this Lviv base in January. It was right after the New Year and before also the Christmas. And people like, oh, you're looking for a house, why so? So there are a lot of, like people even in Lviv just asking, okay, what kind of business you're dealing with? But they realized, okay, AT, this is kind of special, like people, they could do whatever they want to do. And so we actually got the house pretty easily, and just, and it helped us a lot while we were like, just rebasing our center in the western part of Ukraine. And I guess the second milestone with Poland was the question of, it's a totally new market for us, new market for hiring talent, like different culture, even we are neighbors, but it's still, like the practice, the attitude towards work, it's somewhat different. And I guess we also were impressed with the quality of our Ukrainian developers, kind of in comparison, like interviewing candidates.
And I think we'll get to that, but I think one of the truly remarkable things that has happened during this time has just been the way in which our folks have risen to the challenge of continuing to work during wartime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's been, I mean, such a wonderful thing to watch. Yeah, so I think, and Alex, I think maybe you can speak to this, because one of the reasons why we're happy to have Alex here is because he works very intimately with a lot of our clients, and I think has been able to kind of see the results himself through their eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a for sure a time when different folks have different levels of concern. Most have actually taken it in stride, to be honest with you, because we've had no interruption to our services. We've proactively communicated business continuity plans way before, like 2-3 months before hostilities started. So most clients have been very calm, and work has continued normally. A couple of clients have expressed fairly acute concern because they have people who on their staff who read the news. They don't know what to make of it, and we've been able to have very constructive conversations with them. And part of the reason that they've been constructive is because we have taken, like, objectively taken action that should give them peace of mind, right? We're not just trying to calm them down. We're trying to say, here's what we did. Here are the consequences of what we did, or the positive impact of what we did. We've had basically no work interruption, with the exception of a few people who are transiting from east to west. They needed a day for travel time and stuff like that. There's been no downtime, right? And even separately from the fact that is actually fairly heroic. If the world is inspired by the fighters in Ukraine, but the Ukrainian people at large are supporting the nation, working, people who are contributing economically are contributing economically. Those who are contributing militarily are contributing militarily. It's inspiring, right? And part of that is that our folks have continued to work hard to deliver, and our clients' projects and their investments are not at risk. We've diversified almost actually all of our projects so that there is some Ukraine and some non-Ukraine components, right? In terms of the people who are on the projects. No project has critical dependencies and irreplaceable knowledge that if communication is shut down in a particular city, we can't continue the project. It's been well planned, it's been well executed, and the clients who are asking proper, good questions that any reasonable business planner should ask are getting answers that are, fact-based and give them peace of mind. And so we've had, I think, an improvement actually in our client relationship and trust, because if we bring that kind of planning to the situation, they can reliably extrapolate that this is how we think of projects as well.
I think related to that, maybe Jonathan, you could talk about the DOOR3 Relief Fund that you initiated quite recently, and we just put up a page on our website about that. And yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, gosh, so the war has brought, I mean, as we all know, as anyone who looks at the news knows, has brought tremendous financial, I mean, just a horrible hardship to the people of Ukraine. And one of the ways that we can, at least in part, mitigate what has happened, help people, is through financial help, right? So what we have done is we've created a relief fund where we hope to be able to offset some of the financial toll that the war has taken on our colleagues in Ukraine. So while virtually everyone that started with us has been able to continue working with us, there have been a couple people that haven't been able to. And then a much larger population of folks has been displaced. And when you're a displaced person, you're necessarily incurring risks and costs, like especially the cost of living outside of your home.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like to be able to offset a lot of those costs. And so DOOR3 and I, so not just the organization, our company here, but also a lot of our friends and some of our clients have stepped up and made substantial contributions, and it's really heartening to see it.
And how much have we contributed so far? What's our number?
So far we've raised over $170,000. So
That's amazing.
100 of that has come from DOOR3, and then 70,000 has come from friends of DOOR3, including clients.
Yeah, I mean, some folks really stepped up and showed a degree of caring for. We're consultants. Not every client treats us as family, but for those that do, we're incredibly grateful, and those relationships are just very heartwarming in a time that is very difficult psychologically.
And Tanya, will you talk about how you've managed staffing and contingency planning around the staff that we already have as these series of events have unfolded over the last few weeks?
Yeah, absolutely. And like contingency hiring was already in place, because when the war began, we were constantly looking for, talent in most critical areas. And it was kind of, you always have somebody, like the contacts available to reach out and double check with friends, with the network. But the challenge became even more difficult when we had to start, looking for the talent outside of Ukraine. And we understand it's kind of something kind of new market that we have elaborate, but we had also a network of our partnering companies that, working outside of Ukraine. And we continue, like staffing people through the partner agency, plus LinkedIn promotion campaign, if I may, like name some, like tools. And I guess recruiters would appreciate it, because we received pretty huge amount of, like CVs, resumes applied directly. So, and it's also a good time to, reduce the cost and work hard and just make sure that you could look for, alternative options. And the always reliable source is, people's referral, their network. And I'm so glad, and I would even say excited, to see a couple of people like reaching out to us, and we would like to kind of restart our cooperation on the, like at least part-time basis or full-time, depending on the case, again and again. So it looks like that we created not only the company in terms of the business, but we created a culture that stays with people, doesn't matter whether they're employed with us or not. But when there is kind of a global challenge, and especially in the circumstances of war, we'd like to support each other. A lot of people reach out to me personally, to other colleagues, internationally. They offer their help, and I guess this is something that keeps us united, as well as gives the hope that like whatever is happening, we'll do together, and we succeed. And we made a lot of hires recently, and I was personally very pessimistic about it. I thought that market would, like stop at least the activity. The candidates will be, like not sure what to do. The business is kind of like when COVID started, very similar reaction, the response might be. But yeah, I guess it's a new challenge, and we're up to it. And I guess the business, the work gives us an opportunity to keep to our identity, like professional. What matters that you could support you you know, like as a person, as an individual, as a mom, for example, in my case. And I'm very thankful that we have this culture and we created that environment.
I have to add, I think that, you know, however hard and however sad this war, I mean, this war, it does make me very sad, but you know, the silver lining in this has been I've gotten to see a lot of my colleagues, you know, just to see them, you know, to see them in a different light, in a light that's really impressed me. So I think, yeah, yeah, Tanya, what you're saying is something I agree with.
You know, I'd like to just add, you know, I started this company 20 years ago, and 20 years is a long time. And in that time, we started very soon after 9/11. We went through the 2008, 2009 mortgage banking collapse. You know, there have been a few other, you know, obviously the COVID market collapse, and some smaller ups and downs in between. And so I've always been, you know, convinced of the company's resilience, but never more so than now. Like,
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm surrounded by people, like not here or there, but just surrounded by people who have resilience in themselves and bring that to the table every day. We've been able to navigate very complex situations. I can't tell you how difficult the conversations were in November, December, even January, about people moving, like leaving, potentially, you know, figuring out how to take their kids out of school when they don't know that real danger is near. You know, maybe leaving their elders because they can't travel. Incredibly difficult decisions, right? So none of this was easy. The resilience of the company doesn't come from just having sort of like good luck. It comes from the people, like who really put an enormous amount of personal energy and thought into doing the right thing. And so just want to say thanks to all of those folks.
Yep.
Dima, as the other representative of delivery here, will you talk a little bit about, as head of engineering delivery, will you talk a little bit about how you've planned to continue to deliver engineering products and contribute to projects as this has been unfolding?
Sure. So, like, even before the war, we were prepared because like our IT industry and we all was influenced by the COVID, and many developers in recent years moved to like remote work, yeah, and adopted to those conditions. And like with the start of the war, we needed time to adopt to these new conditions. But due to the fact that our teammates are self-motivated and result-oriented, even in this new environment, we continue to provide services to our customers in a quality and timely manner. Yeah, and like we're not only a teammates, we are family, and that means that we have a great support for each other. And thanks to our management guys, yeah, and our colleagues, that they give us opportunity to focus on work and minimally be distracted by the issues that we were having. And yeah, like before the war and during the first days, with the support of our people strategy department, everyone had opportunity to use this to move to the western part on Ukraine, to be in safe place and proceed working. And for like developer, fortunately, we need only our brains or laptop and good internet connection to proceed working.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I got to tell you, I am so impressed by how much good internet is available in Western Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's not so good as on the central part in Kyiv.
I know,
I know. But it can't easily be cut.
Yeah,
so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And we've also been thinking about security in a different way, isn't that right? Thinking about our internet security, both in Ukraine, of course, but also in the U.S.
Oh, we've radically adjusted our our IT security posture. Yeah.
No further details. Come on, Jonathan. So through secret but robust methods.
I don't know. Nothing too secret, but yeah.
We've all read Sun Tzu since this started, so we will not be revealing our methods.
So do you have a copy of The Art of War underneath your maple syrup, Alex?
I have 2 or 3 copies scattered throughout the house.
Okay.
Alex, will you talk about how we've provided market and client support, as things have progressed, and maybe how your mind has shifted since the beginning of this conflict to now?
So, as I mentioned before, supporting our clients has meant a few things: giving them timely information, basing that information on actual actions that help protect their investment, right? And establishing a human rapport around what is a very human and difficult circumstance, right? And all of those things happen in different proportions with different clients as appropriate. So first of all, I think at the very, very start of December, maybe the last week of November, I don't remember, we issued our first business continuity addendum to our clients, right? To make sure that they're aware, that we're aware of the threat, they knew what actions we were taking and we were planning. Then we updated them a few weeks later about the actions that we planned in that addendum and had already taken, right? So for example, the establishment of our Lviv office, right? And then subsequent sort of appendices and updates of that sort continued as needed over the subsequent months. So that allowed our clients to know, and honestly, there are companies literally 20, 30, 40 times our size who lost a significant portion of their client base and a significant portion of their effective, personnel profile because they didn't take those actions. So being able to communicate those things to our clients in advance and then showing them the outcomes of those actions has created a lot of not just goodwill, but fact-based faith in the robustness of.
I'm thinking about the work you did with Michael, Andrew, Vladislava to create that risk matrix. I don't know that our clients are even aware of it, but we have a real-time risk matrix tracker based on the location of people and conflict zones.
Yeah, and so we were tracking.
And this allows us to basically steer in new resources or steer out other resources to ensure project continuity.
Yeah, we talked a lot on this call so far about physical safety, right? But the teamwork and the collaboration and the sense of mutual support has, I think, been really important for people to maintain that sense of psychological security that allows them to also be productive. So this has all been very, very good. I've grown a lot closer with a lot of people at DOOR3 through these interactions as well. I'm really inspired. To be honest,
I've never been prouder to work here. I really haven't.
I just wish that it wasn't caused by the tragedy that's ongoing. I'm incredibly proud of the company that we built together.
I think, what strikes me is that we've done a lot to get to this point before we even knew that, this was a possibility. And I thank you, Jonathan, for making the plan for us all to convene in Athens. At the time, it seemed like a bit of a lark, actually, like that we get to go on this fun trip and we're all going to gather in this city that's new or unfamiliar to most of us and, meet at a place that was kind of accessible to us all to some degree or another, that are, practice leads or working in some kind of leadership capacity. But that has paid huge dividends in the way that we've, Dima and I met in person for the first time, Tanya and I met in person for the first time, and that's really allowed us to work together in a more cohesive way when disaster strikes. And
that trip has really proven to be vital, I think, to the effectiveness of our response. And I appreciate you giving me credit for it, but it wasn't my idea. It was Val's idea, who is our head of project management here.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it was
Val.
her idea. Her idea. I just listened.
Yep.
Next episode.
She will be in the next episode.
Yeah, great. I think there's other things like that too that we've done to create team cohesion and make sure that there's open lines of communication throughout leadership and with practice leads and also just designers and developers and project managers on the ground making products for our clients every single day. And it's key that we have these lines of communication, and it's the investment into that that's happened over years and years that has made it possible for us to continue in this way so successfully, even in this crisis.
And I do want to say, just because we've been successful so far doesn't mean we don't remain vigilant. We're monitoring the situation. We're continuing to evolve our response, and the situation on the ground is fluid. I think most of the safety actions that we could take, we've taken, and if we need to take more and have the opportunity to do so, we will do so. And I kind of want to, for those of you who haven't heard this in the audience, there's kind of a saying in Ukraine that basically translates into it's a call and response. It goes glory to Ukraine and glory to the heroes. And I think that for a Ukrainian American, for the American side of me, there's not a lot of that kind of stuff that goes around in America. We don't do a lot of that, those sort of like statements, because but I think it's worth noting how inspired the world has been by Ukraine's response and the bravery of Ukrainians as a people. And I think it's worth calling that out. And I hope that we can import a little bit of that attitude out here in the West. So, I'll say it in Ukrainian. So, Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Yeah.
Thank you.